Today, I want to talk to you about some of the things that it takes to start a business. So if that is a desire of yours, then maybe this video is for you. As you all may have known, I have been in business for the last 27, 28 years. Variety of businesses I've owned and ran. I've made millions of dollars, done everything from childcare to trucking companies to medical billing, variety of things that I've done. And my latest venture is something in the online space. And as we move forward with that, I'll keep you posted as to how that's going. But today I want to share with you some of the steps that it takes to get to where you want to be if business ownership is a desire of yours. Well, one of the first things you want to do is research. And oftentimes this is something that's overlooked. People decide that they want to go in business. People decide that it's always been a dream of mine to, for example, own a trucking company or own a bakery because it's something that you enjoy doing. It's something that you desire. Well, in actuality, you're doing that. If you start that business because it's always been your dream, then you're doing it for you and not necessarily the customers that are out there. And that can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing. We have to have a passion. We have to have a desire for whatever it is we're doing, but we have to make sure that it's right for the consumer, because the consumer is what's going to fund that business and make it successful. So the first thing you want to do is get started with some research. Is that industry growing or is it declining? You know, years ago, you used to have to, if you wanted to watch a good movie, you had to go to a Blockbuster or a mom and pop video store, rent the video, take it back home, watch it. 1 or 2 days later, you had to take it back. Well, things changed, and now you can just use your television and your remote and choose a movie, watch it, and it's done. You never have to leave the house. Well, that's an example of how a business was on the decline. That rental industry was on the decline. So if you started a video store back in the day, 6 months, a year later, it was a declining, it was a dead industry. All right. So you want to do research to make sure that what it is you're wanting to do is growing and not declining. You also want to know what's the impact of the things that's going on today. What's the impact of, for example, AI? How is that going to impact your business? If you're starting a content business, you're creating content for, people that are online, or content for people that are in brick and mortar buildings, but they need you to write certain things for them. That used to be a great business, but now with AI, that's a declining industry. AI is taking over. So you want to know what's the impact. How about interest rates? If you're getting into the real estate market or even a general business where you need a loan, interest rates are relevant. It's going to impact what you're going to pay every month on that business loan. Or your customers, how are they going to be able to get money to pay you if interest rates, is going to impact them? How about today's politics? There are some industries that are impacted by politics. If you're getting into an industry that's connected to the oil industry, for example, well, the Republican Party, if they win, it might benefit you. If the Democrats win, it might not be a good industry to be in. So you want to know what's going on in the world and how is it going to impact the business that you want to get into. Okay, with that being said, do you still want to get into the business? All right, so if you still want to get into the business, here's the next step. What type of investment is going to be required? How much? How many dollars? Where are those dollars going to come from? How much time is it going to take from you? Will you have to stay on your job while you're starting this business? Or will you be able to quit your job and dedicate 100% of your time to this business? Those are questions that needs to be answered. If, for example, it's going to require a $100,000 investment, is that the only $100,000 you have? If an emergency come up, will you have a problem? if that business does not take off like you're expecting it to, and in most cases it doesn't, will you be able to survive? Are there additional funds that you can pull on that won't change your family lifestyle? So, which leads me to the next point, your family lifestyle, how you live, how your family lives. Will going into business have a negative impact on your business? If you have a family, husband, wife, kids, this may be something you want to sit down and discuss with the family. Let them know what you're doing, how you might have to pull back on certain areas of your lifestyle. Just basically, how is it going to impact the family? Because, once you start having relationship problems because of a lack of finances, the business could very well be doomed. So look at how it might impact everybody else and talk to your family. The next, if you're going to require a business loan, then you have to look at your credit. There are some business loans that you're not going to be able to get if your credit score is below a 700. So look at your credit score. Maybe you need to start building on your credit score now so that you can get into business a year later. That way you'll have time to prepare, to plan, to do research, and you'll be ready with your credit score. If you're doing a business loan, know that if you go to a bank, get an SBA loan, they're going to require that they place a lien on your other assets. So if you have a house with, a good amount of collateral in it, they're going to require that your home, your car, everything that you own be placed as collateral, meaning if that business fails, they have access to your home, your car, whatever you have to recoup their money. So that's something you want to consider. Another option is utilizing savings. I actually, for my first business, and I don't recommend it, but it is an option. For my very first business, I used my 401k. I pulled all my funds from my 401k, started a business. Fortunately for me, it worked. Everything turned out good. There were some hard times in there. There's some ups and downs, which there will be in business, but it's an option. I don't recommend it. I would say that's going to be the last option for most people. But look at all your options. Where are the funds going to come from? Savings, investors. Investors can be a good source. You look at certain business opportunities and you say, hey, I can get 50,000 over here from this person, 100,000 over there, and I'll give them a small degree of interest for them to recoup their money. It's a great opportunity. And yes, that's fine. That works. I did that with my second business. The negative on, getting investors is that you have to answer to those people. You're going to have to generate, monthly, quarterly reports showing them exactly where every dime went, where every dime's going, why you didn't succeed, why you spent money on certain things. So you're going to be accountable to others. That's not a bad thing, but just letting you know that that is what you're going to experience. So you're going to have to be good with investors. You're going to have to be good with numbers. You're going to have an accounting system where you can show exactly where that money is going. And now you also have to be concerned about the consequences. If things don't go well, what will be the impact on those friends or those business associates that you got those funds from? They're going to want to know, well, hey, the business failed. I'm $100,000 into this. What are you going to do to make things right again? So put all that stuff on the table, up front when you're dealing with investors. Okay, next is what's the potential of the business? Is it worth the investment? Are you going to make $50,000 a year over the next 5 years? Or are you going to make $100,000? Is it $1 million opportunity? You need to know that. Is it something that can grow? If you start out on one level, can it go to the next level and the next level? You want to know what the potential of the business is. Okay? So you also want to have the know-how, how to run this business. I just read something the other day about a young lady that won a $9 million lottery. 7 months later, she was out of business and on food stamps. You can have the money, but do you have the business know-how to make it a success? Which leads me to my next point, a recommendation. I want you to go out, talk to other business owners. If the business owners you talk to only tell you great things, oh, business is good, and I've made $1 million, move on to the next person. Talk to people that have failed and started over, did it again. You want to know you want to know the negatives about business. You don't want just the good stuff, because I promise you there are some negatives that it comes to business. If I had to do this all over again, I would definitely take the same route. But I'm telling you, there's been many hurdles over my last 28 years. There's been bankruptcy. There's been times when I was on my knees praying to God, why is this happening to me? But fortunately, things are great, and I wouldn't do it any other way. But you want to know what's good, what's bad. You also want to talk to someone, a mentor, someone that can give you day-to-day or week-to-week or month-to-month knowledge, insight. You can go to them and say, hey, this is going on right now. What should I do? What's your opinion? And not that you always have to go with their thoughts and opinion, but you want to hear or know other sides of a situation, other sides of the coin. And the last recommendation I'm going to give you is, before you do any of this, take a financial class, take a business class, take a QuickBooks class, because you need to know how to manage your money. You need to understand the difference between a balance sheet and a profit and loss statement. You need to know the difference between income, expenses. You need to understand what an asset is. You need to know how to look at a balance sheet and understand your assets and liabilities and what does that mean for the future. All right. And even your banks, if you get a loan on this, or even your investors, they're going to want to see your balance sheet, your profit and loss. So you need to understand those things, because that's going to be your Bible. Those financial statements is going to tell you where you're going, where you've been, what moves you need to make, what you need to pull back on, what you need to excel in. So understanding finances is going to be key to making this happen. All right. This is part one. Part two, and I hope you tune back in for the next video, is going to be about the physical aspect of doing business, the steps that you need to take. This was more so about research and understanding, but the next video is going to tell you physically what I recommend you doing, whether you're talking about a physical business, a brick and mortar, or you're talking about an online business. These are things that you need to look at. All right. Please like, subscribe, and share. Be blessed.